Hello, everyone. Welcome to C-Suite Talks. We speak with industry leaders, introducing you to some of the most interesting people and businesses today. We're focused on women, money, and power, as well as diversity in all areas. Welcome to C-Suite Talks. I'm Beth Hilbing, co-CEO of C-Suite with...
I'm Dianne Gubin, co-CEO of C-Suite, along with Beth. And this week, we are just so happy to be speaking with Lisa Temple. Lisa is a partner at Temple Law. She's an experienced business attorney for businesses of all sizes, from local companies to international and publicly traded companies. She is the founder of the small but mighty firm of Temple Law, where she works with 3 other attorneys and a paralegal. Her passion is to foster long-term, collaborative relationships with ambitious clients who have the same values. Most of these clients happen to reside in the health technology space. We want to find out more about that. So Lisa is the mom of 3 school-age kids, 3 dogs, and she also cares for her father, who lives with her family. She serves on the Town Zoning Board of Appeals. So welcome to C-Suite Talks, Lisa. We're so happy to have you.
I am very happy to be here. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
And Lisa's also a member of C-Suite for many years, and we love having her as a member because she has a great sense of humor and is so intelligent with us. So we love that.
And fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lisa, what do you do at Temple Law? You founded it, and now what do you do, and what's your focus?
Yeah, I'm a business attorney, but what does that really mean, right? It means I'm a jack of all trades. So I help businesses in any stage of life, whether they're starting up or expanding, and whether they're, a mom and pop or a public company. So that basically means I'm looking at a lot of contracts, negotiating with other attorneys, collaborating with my client to help them fix their business issues. So I'm kind of like an outside fractional general counsel as well. So wear a lot of hats, and I really like the diversity that provides.
Right. And
that's great. So how did you get into law?
Yeah. Well, tell us how you got in. And then, you went from big corporate law, like you worked for Amex and you worked for Axiom and a whole bunch of others I saw on your LinkedIn, and then you started your own. Tell us this journey.
Yeah. Well, I started out of like young idealistic Lisa, who wanted to help save the world and mostly help battered women get divorces, and I was thinking I would do stuff along those lines. You could see from my profile that I've done none of that, but because I realized that the emotional component of that work is so challenging and complex, and I think it would have, I don't know if I have the right personality for that. So
Right, because you need a psych degree too.
Yeah. I mean, that is, talk about taking your work home with you, right? I mean, that is, I'm not able to compartmentalize that well. So I ended up being a paralegal at a nice sized law firm in New York called Stewart and Kissel. They were wonderful. And I came back as an attorney. I saw that I could do it. And I wanted to be paid as an attorney. So I went to law school and came back, and I worked for them for a few years. But I realized through all of the different, that's really hard, being a young attorney, and working crazy hours, proving yourself, I guess, in any industry, especially New York or California. And so I always just pivoted when I felt like it was time and my life wasn't, it was, no, I either outgrew the role or I didn't feel like it served me in the best way possible. So, which is why I eventually ended up as an owner of my own company, law firm, and really charting, the engineering my own destiny in a way. I really like that control I have over my life.
Right, because we think when we have small children, because I have 3 kids too, that it's a lot easier to have our own businesses, and then you find out you work more hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little easier to put up boundaries, but because you're in charge, but also you have clients who don't care.
Right, well, they care, but they don't care, right? Because they're paying you. So right. They want their needs met. So I like this. So what are some current legal trends or challenges that you find that are particularly interesting in your area of expertise today, in today's world?
I feel like most people who you have on would say this, but I'm embarrassed to say I do think it's AI. I'm actually invited to a dinner party tomorrow night where that's the topic of conversation among non-lawyers. So I'll be interested to hear about that. But yeah, AI and data security are really, the threats and interesting challenges that we're facing today.
So how do you get up to speed on that? What kind of things do you do to get current with what's happening?
Well, don't you want to do a class action suit for us so that our cars don't listen to us?
Oh my, if my car could talk or my phone. Yes. Right. So I love technology and innovation. So I'm actually kind of excited about these new things. And so I've started incorporating as much as I can, for example, AI. We were an early adopter of AI software for helping draft contracts and review them for errors and things. And automation, just doing things more quickly because we have to be more innovative because we're small. And so in order to keep up, really have to pushes you to look for, cost effective ways to do that. So I'm excited about that, although I completely acknowledge that there are downsides to these technological advances, especially with regard to privacy. And you don't want putting in your confidential information into ChatGPT, for example. Not such a great idea, but
right. So then how do you edit a contract or figure out, as you said, like the contract iterations without uploading it?
Right. So there is like kind of, I would say, like a hosted software that's deployed in Word, for example. It's called Spellbook, and that is like a drafting assistant, and that's helpful for. I've not come across maybe once, and I use it often, a time where I'm wholesale accepting what they suggest or what have you. I do still think that a lawyer, where our jobs are safe for a little while. I don't know how long that's going to be, but hopefully I'm retired by the time the robots take over.
Right, because you have a customer-centric approach on your website, and I know how friendly and just client service oriented you are. But what does that mean, and how do you actually execute on that?
Actually, that is another software related approach. We integrate, we're software friendly, and so we integrate with a lot of our clients directly. So we're in their software and are able to function almost as an employee, although that we're not. And Slack, we're on all the time with our clients. So we really come to them and also try to work with them in terms of like thinking about incentives and what would be best for them to succeed. And I think that means being proactive and getting ahead of legal problems. And for that, I think something like a subscription plan to give them that constant open line of communication so that they actually aren't afraid to bring you in and that you're going to bill them a ton of money. And so they partner with you more readily. And I think that really provides a better quality of service for sure.
Right.
Oh, that's great. So what strategies or habits do you feel contributed to your professional growth in the legal field?
My strategy has always been to be authentic. And so that probably has closed opportunities for me because I've been in rooms with sharp-elbowed lawyers, and I'm not one of them, and they may not want to work with me if they see that I'm not going to be a pit bull necessarily. Although I do think that honey attracts better than cause, you know? So, just not trying to be someone I'm not. I've learned that just doesn't produce great results and causes confusion, and it just doesn't feel good. So that has been really my main strategy, and also adhering to my values. I think it's really important to have your own personal values and actually like write them down, and then um, I was able to, create a law firm with almost same values. And so I'm able to bring those every time. And that helps make decisions. It's so clearly, I can say like what the client wants to do here is so clearly outside of our values, like we're not going to do it. So it's almost a shortcut, but also it helps you sleep at night. It's like a win-win. It can
For
be hard
sure.
sometimes, but that and just showing up, uh,
Right.
when on time and all of that stuff that you learn on the first day of law school.
Oh, yeah. Well, or hopefully you learn it, right?
Yeah.
Right. And you do a lot in health technology. That's one of your verticals that you specialize in. So what type of issues legally are you seeing in that industry?
Oh, yeah, that is a really fun industry because I have a lot of clients who are so um, ambitious and I think you talk to anybody, they would admit that the healthcare um, system in this country, it's substandard, but putting it mildly. And so trying to solve those issues, and I cannot believe the creativity and ingenuity that these clients are bringing in. So I'm really, really inspired by them. But there are issues, and it's almost always about, protected health information and how to just making sure that you're covered on all your bases and where is the information going, and just being really careful and not cavalier. Um, in such a highly regulated industry. I am not a healthcare regulatory attorney, but I do spot issues and work with outside regulatory counsel that my clients usually have. So I'm like their low cost attorney for
So,
everyday issues.
so it's data. So it sounds like it's data protection in this industry. That's the big issue right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's true.
Well, that's interesting. And so does that change? Have you felt that because of all the technology advancements that your clients have different expectations of you? How has that changed how they've interacted with you?
Yeah. Um, I've definitely, so I've been practicing for 20 years. And I think you guys would agree. People who the expectations are higher now, with the more advanced technologies. You're expected to be responsive 24/7, but also to be more careful. And so it has ratcheted up a lot of stress. It's just a trickier landscape, I think, than what it once was. And I'm sure that is a trend that will continue. So.
And are there any misconceptions you'd like to clarify, whether it's in the health tech industry or just in general working with attorneys or law, for us who are not in law?
I think a misconception is that either you can do it yourself. That applies to a lot of my smaller clients. So, like, yes, I, there are forums on the internet, and you can pull those off and get kind of far in life without them. But ultimately, you're going to need a lawyer for any business to grow in a healthy way. So not, and thinking that lawyers are too expensive. And certainly there are very expensive lawyers. I'm appalled often at the $1,000 plus price tags on the hourly rate, which is mind blowing to me. But you know, it's not as intimidating to get a lawyer as you would think. And it is penny wise, pound foolish if you don't. So I guess I would say that I'm currently in the process of cleaning up a company's um, corporate books by looking at they're operating. They have a ton of different companies and they're all over the place. They haven't done a good job of bookkeeping, and kind of, especially if you want to get a loan, if you want to do any mergers or acquisitions, if anybody third party is coming in to look, you are scrambling. So it's
Yeah, that's got to be a nightmare for them for sure. Yeah, I can imagine. So, as you look and people are coming into the field and you're looking at younger generations, what do you tell them to how to prepare to get into the legal field?
Oh, it's such a diverse field. So I would say just to make sure that you are not doing something that you don't enjoy, because you can always find something that you will. I remember people saying when I first became a lawyer, don't do that. It's terrible. And it's almost self-fulfilling, because I was like, oh my, at some point I was definitely like, wow, they're right. This is terrible. But then I didn't give up on it. I knew, and also people telling you, oh, you don't have the right personality for it. I don't know what that means. Is it because, like, I don't know if that's a gendered response or
Right.
or not.
You said you're not going to be like a litigator, which is a whole other practice. And that seems where a lot of this is coming in, right?
Right. But now
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, why wasn't I? Why did I think I couldn't do that? I don't know. But also, I don't know if it would really match my personality. But I would just say that if you're really interested and and curious about the law, and it excites you in some way, then you should go for it, and then just continue to look for what makes you happy and move as soon as you can. Don't get locked into. I have a lot of friends who got stuck in that big firm paycheck nightmare where they have to feed the beast, the golden handcuffs or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And they can't move now because they're too entrenched. So you have to just be careful and create the life you want.
I don't think that's just the law field.
I think you're right. I know you're right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just exactly.
Yeah.
So as women have to, and as like you said, you had children, how do you kind of balance between your career and your personal life?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have someone to help you at home?
Or do you?
Maybe you don't. Maybe it's yeah.
I don't know if I do. I mean, I feel like I set myself up to do it, but Dianne, as you said before, like, is it possible? I don't know. I do. I have the best opportunity. I don't have the FaceTime restrictions that I used to have 20 years ago with the law firm. I have the 3 kids. They're not driving yet. I'm driving all the time. I am. One of my kids was in a really serious, had a health problem about a year ago. And that's been really hard. And I had to really like stop working and deal with it. It wasn't an option. And, but I built a really awesome team that was able to step in and help me out. So, and I don't think I could have done that if I didn't like go back to the values. I know that's like so important to me. So, because I have surrounded myself people who have the same values, I'm able to be more flexible because they understand that family is first. And I expect that for them too. And so it does cause conflict, especially with clients who aren't like, of the same mindset, but, it's not easy. Every day is a balancing act, and you just make a decision and do it, and then and let it roll off your shoulders. If you lose a client or whatever, like okay, at least I adhere to my values, and here's my values.
Which is very important. Yeah.
Right. And my bet is that while everything you do is important, most of it is not, like it has to be done by this deadline, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's the artificial deadline is
Right.
hard.
The self-imposed. Lisa, we know you do a lot of work in the community. Just tell us a little bit about your community work and why it's important to you.
Yeah, I love feeling connected. I like connected to my neighbors and to where I live, the land, the people. So I decided to run for the Zoning Board of Appeals, which was it's silly, right? I mean, in many respects, it's about sheds and like pools and decks and whether they're too close to the property line. But from this admittedly kind of small position, I got to meet people and feel like connected to the government. I got to be plugged into what's going on. I moved to Connecticut in 2017, so almost a year after that, I joined the zoning board, and I've learned all about the community, from that. And so it's been really rewarding, although frustrating at times, because you wouldn't think that sheds and pools are politically charged issues, but sometimes they are. I didn't know that. I didn't want that. I was glad not to be on the educate, Board of Ed or finance, but
at least they're going to run you for mayor of your town. They will, right?
No, they know not to. They didn't know it. I said, that's it. I'm not doing any door knocking anymore. I hated that.
All right.
But my favorite thing to do is, I didn't put this on the list, but because ever since we had the family issue last year, I haven't done it, but for years I was working at the food pantry, and that was actually like the highlight of my.
It is nice. I've done that as well. And it's just lovely. So thank you for doing that. That's great. So how can people find your law firm?
Online. Right. You can
what's your website?
It's temple-law.com. And soon to be merging with another law firm. So that's really exciting. So I don't know what that website will be, but we're deep into the process of negotiating and merging together, which I'm really excited about, because there are a lot of good synergies and so on between us, and all the same values. That was actually the first thing that we talked about, and that was awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, we wish you much.
This is right. Yeah.
We wish you much luck with that merger. May it be everything that you're looking for and more. So thank you to our listeners. Thank you, Lisa Temple, partner at Temple Law PLC with Temple-Law as your site. Beth, I'm going to thank our sponsors: Google, City National Bank, the law firm of Manette, Uncle Nearest, which is a female-owned spirit company, fabulous. Advertising, media, and PR companies of Interpublic Group, and Amplify Professional Services, my company, Executive Search and IT Consulting. Do you want to wrap us up, Beth?
Sure. Thank you for listening. Hit the subscribe button, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcast today. Leave us a review, A+, of course, social media. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Check out our website, www.csweet.org. And we look forward to hearing from you, and listen to all our podcasts. And thank you, Lisa Temple, for everything.
Thank you, Lisa.
So much fun to talk to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.